Are you looking for more out of your life? Do you need ideas on how to start new businesses and how to move forward in your own personal life? Well, guess what? You have come to the right radio show. At You Can Overcome Anything podcast show, you will learn and hear from many people from all walks of life who are sharing their challenges, their stories, the habits, and the mind shifts they had to overcome to become who they are today. On top, you will get a chance to connect and see how you can overcome anything by networking and learning about your next move through this radio show. I present to you our great speakers at You Can Overcome Anything podcast show with your host, Cesar Espino. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. It is your host, Cesar Espino, and today I have a special guest. Her name is Anna Hall. Hey, Anna, how are you?
Hi, Cesar. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm excited to have you here. Before we dive in, let me give our listeners and viewers a little bit of your background. Anna encountered her purpose teachers through the world of retirement living. During her 25-year career, focused on increasing engagement and improving quality of life for older adults, she saw the benefits of living with a deep personal sense of meaning and joy. Inspired by her teachers, she embarked on a year of research and experimentation to develop a standardized way to help people of all stages and stages define and inactive activate their unique purpose. The purpose equation is a roadmap for living daily life in alignment with natural motivation and innate strengths. It helps people to shed the shoots and affirm who they are from the inside out. The meaning of life is to have meaning in life. I love that. I definitely do love that. Why don't we start by you telling me a little bit about your background? Where are you originally from, and how's your upbringing?
Okay, I guess we'll begin at the beginning.
Yes, definitely.
So I'm going to start off by saying that I am biracial, and I was raised in Hanover, New Hampshire. So my upbringing was interesting and informed a lot of the way that I think about purpose and belonging, because being one of the I think one out of two Black families in the affluent community where I grew up was it was a blessing to live in an affluent community and have everything that I needed. My parents were able to provide for me. Yet I didn't feel that I really belonged because I talked like a white person. Black people would tell me later on, and white people would tell me, "Oh, don't worry, we don't think of you as Black." And it just left me very confused and kind of wondering where my place was in the world. And it was when I started to understand purpose, even though I didn't know that's what it was called, that started to give me solid grounding in life.
Wow, yeah. So I can only imagine, again, as you mentioned, kind of growing up in that environment, obviously not knowing whether there was something right or wrong, because there isn't, except it really comes down to what society, right, or other exterior elements might see how or perceive how you should be or what to be, right? And so how was that even in school or just as you said, you felt like you didn't belong, right? So how was that with school and then just having acquaintances?
Well, I tried to tell myself that it didn't matter and that, color doesn't matter and we're all just people navigating the world. But kids, don't have filters. And I think they had all good intentions, but it was a lot of touching my hair and, why are people touching my hair? Commenting on the texture and, telling me that I had a great tan. And I'm like, but I don't have a tan. It's the middle of the winter in Hanover, New Hampshire.
Yeah.
So it made me just kind of wonder where I was going to fit in. And it also made me very excited to graduate high school and go to college. So I went straight from Hanover, New Hampshire, a college town, but rural for the most part, right to Boston. Wow. And I thought, oh, I'm finally going to fit in.
Yeah, right.
Guess what?
You
It
did.
was even worse
Wow.
because here I was hoping, wishing to be accepted in the Black community. And I was I would go so far as to say almost rejected
Mm,
because they thought that I was this spoiled, light-skinned person who talked like a white person. And, in a way, it was true. Culturally, I was brought up
hmm.
in the white community, but I wasn't accepted in the white community. And
Right.
then when I got to Boston, I thought that I was going to find my place, and it was like people were calling me an Oreo cookie, and
Mm,
because I was black and white, and so it was hard. And again, this theme of fitting in, how do I fit in? Where do I
hmm.
belong? Came up. And then after college, I started volunteering at an assisted living retirement community.
Hmm.
And that was the first time I ever felt like I fit in, like really fit in somewhere with 80 and 90-year-olds. They, I went there to volunteer and, try to do some fun activities with them and brighten up their day. And it was completely the reverse. They lit up my life. They were so fully authentically themselves. One of the gifts of longevity is it's way easier to have perspective on what really matters and
Yeah.
care way less about what other people think about you because actually it's none of your business.
Right. Yeah.
And they didn't tell me, they didn't teach me, they showed me what it looks like to belong. And what I realized is what Brene Brown says, you have to belong to yourself first.
Got it. Got it.
So
Yeah.
that was the
Definitely.
beginning of my purpose teachings.
Yeah, yeah, no, and that's good. And so, I'm always curious. I mean, I'm from Mexico. I was not born in the U.S. So even coming into the U.S., I know as a kid, again, very similar. I didn't feel like I fit in. Uh,
Yeah.
Even worse, I didn't speak the language, and so there were so many different things. And even just kind of growing up in that environment, and again, not being able to speak the language, not being able to feel like you're part of a community.
Yes.
You said something that was very important, and that's the idea of feeling of you feeling that you want to be accepted, the acceptance of something, right? And oftentimes we seek for that again to be able to feel like we're part of the community or something, which obviously you again growing up, you're struggling with that, and that didn't seem to take place. Before you graduated from high school and went into college. Um, did you had any major things that you've learned through that journey of just going through that? I'm sure it wasn't easy, yet it was doable. Yet, were there any major lessons that you've learned that looking back now you kind of see it from a different perspective?
Well, I mean, first I learned about um, what comes to my mind is another person that I met, and this was
Mhm.
a person I met in college. And I worked for him part time. I was a personal care assistant for him, and
Mhm.
he was working full time as a lawyer, and he was living with muscular dystrophy.
Mhm.
And I was, as his personal care assistant, I was bathing him at 19 years old, showering him, toileting, everything, all of everything. And then going to work with him and seeing him run meetings and, run a department and be an absolute rock star in his field. And he showed me that it is something within us, not external acceptance, but is something inside that it gives us this drive to keep going. I thought my life was hard. His life was way harder. And he was
Wow.
like going at it every day and not for money, but because he was on a mission to help people. He
Right.
had so much empathy and compassion, and he really inspired me. And, he would talk with me about the law and constitutional law. At the time, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. He
Yeah.
taught me so much. And I realized that, oh my goodness, like I love learning. I have this curiosity inside of me. And that's what got
Mhm.
me through college. I was one of those nerds. I loved college. I hung out in classes with my professors afterwards at UMass Boston. So I think the insight that I learned going through this feeling of not belonging was starting to belong to myself through something that gave me a lot of meaning and joy in life. And that
Right.
was learning and being curious,
Yeah.
and
No,
being
that's
curious about people in particular.
yeah, no, and you know what? That's huge. And as I think of that right now, you obviously, as I said, you finally kind of found that purpose, right? Your internal purpose, and decided to kind of look into that. Why did you decide that you wanted to create something for adults to discover their purpose versus maybe somebody in high school, right, where they're going through all of that, mess? Was there a particular reason for that?
Yeah. Well, working in senior living for the past 20 years, whereas I've
Mhm.
spent my career either working in age tech
Yep.
or in engagement and programming and, lifestyle enhancement, I saw that people were talking about purpose and understanding how important it was in an industry that focuses on quality of life, right? And helping people
Yeah. Right.
live that last stage of their life to the fullest and be able to contribute and continue meaning and joy. But none of us knew what actually purpose meant. Purpose, when you look up the dictionary definition, it says meaning and joy and direction in life.
Mm.
So how do you describe that? How do you achieve that? How do you help all these unique people with all of this unique purpose out there discover their purpose? Because it is unique for each person. There's
Right.
definitely themes and common threads, but I wanted to figure out what is purpose? How can we understand it, reliably help people discover theirs so that these employees who are working in senior living can understand purpose, show up at work filled with their natural purpose, and then deliver better care, better engagement for the residents.
Got it. So the idea is more so for the employees, not so much for the people that are living there, right? That are being cared for. It's more so they can do a better job in taking care of them
Yeah.
um, through their stages, so that they have the best life at the end. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And people who work in the senior living world, they're not working there to get rich. They
Hmm.
are working there because it's already something about their purpose that has
Right.
brought them there, right? Like they care about people, they care about making connections. And so, how do you keep these people who care so much and give so much also from burning out,
Yeah. Right.
right? From being exhausted? There's always going to be a resident who needs something. How do you take care of yourself and be productive? How do senior living communities hold on to their employees before they get burned out and keep them invigorated? And then, of course, in business, it's take care of your employees, they'll take care of your customers.
Yeah,
That's how
which
it's got
makes
to
perfect sense. Yeah, right. And you know what? I think that that's actually a good way to, I forget who mentioned this. I think it was Les Brown that said, imagine you're on your deathbed, and in your deathbed, you are surrounded by all of the ghosts of the ideas and things that you could have done, yet it is too late because you never allow them to come out and be free and do that, right? So, kind of going back to that, I look into that and I'm like, a lot of times we are maybe in those late stages, and we never found that purpose or the ability of things that we could have done, and by then it may be too late, right? And so being able to start fostering that and talking about it, teaching and doing things early on,
Yeah.
I think it is huge, to be able to live back and contribute to the world, right?
Yeah. And for organizations, when they make employee development, kind of infuse it with purpose,
Yeah.
you're getting a win-win. You're going to retain your employees, you're going to attract them, and you're going to enhance the quality of just daily interactions among your staff, among your customers and your employees. It makes all the difference. And going back to your comment about the deathbed, I
Yeah.
think about death a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, I admit it because, having worked in senior living communities, I can't tell you how many friends I've lost over the years,
Yeah.
meeting people in their 90s and hundreds.
Right.
Uh, I'm so grateful for every single one of those spirit connections.
Yeah.
Um, and none of my friends ever on their deathbed, because I've been there with people on their deathbed, said, I'm so glad that I achieved this or that. They always say, I made an impact on my family. My kids know that I love them. My friends know that I cared.
Yeah.
And that's where having this perspective and this awareness of purpose in everyday life gets you to the point where when it is your time to pass, you can look back and it's not filled with regret because you knew what was meaningful to you every day.
Mm-hmm.
You
Right.
focused on that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. I want to kind of touch back again on the idea of uh, the internal aspect, right? And again, being in this great country where you have people from all walks of life, all over the world, different skin tone, different looks, things like that.
Yeah.
We always look at the external aspect, right? And um, I think it was Jim Rohn that talks about, if you look at it even from a self development and or a business development, where you're like, well, I'm blaming the economy, the president, my family, all of these different external factors of
Mm-hmm.
why things are happening to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I like the idea, taking that and kind of putting that into what you're talking about is that, to an extent, really any external factor, yeah, I mean, they're there and they're going to be there and there's nothing you can do about it, except I do believe that the external factors are not a reason to not move you forward or get you out of whatever you might be going through. And really, as you mentioned, the answers are internally within you. And you got to be able to kind of look deep down into those. And so, how do you tap into that? How do you find that internal purpose for whatever it is, right? To be able to say, yeah, it sucks that we just went through COVID. It sucks that I don't like that president. It sucks that my girlfriend left me, my boyfriend, whatever external factor, right?
Yeah.
Except again, how do you find that internal purpose to say, hey, you got this, like let's keep moving forward.
Well, I'm so glad that you keyed in on this because it is so true. Purpose is inside.
Mm-hmm.
So many people have been brought up to think that purpose is, I will achieve my purpose when I accomplish this,
Mm-hmm.
or I will be good enough when I have done this. And so they associate purpose with doing things and achieving goals or, being in a role as a president or a founder or a director. It's, climbing the corporate ladder. I can promise people listening, it is not your purpose.
It is
Okay.
not. I know that for a
I
fact.
can promise you that.
Yeah, me too.
However, if a passion of yours is business and you would like to work your way into leadership role in a company, then you can leverage your purpose, this internal scaffolding that holds you up through the winds of change and life's really harsh, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
external circumstances. Purpose can be that consistent source of energy that keeps you putting one foot in front of the other in the good times and in the really hard times. And so the way that I help people start to discover and explore and like put shape to their purpose
Right.
is actually not starting with purpose. I start with
Right.
joy.
Ah.
So I think of purpose as an internal light that we all have inside of us. So you are born with a purpose light inside of you and it's lit. It's not like a light where the bulb went out. No, 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 no. You're born with the light. What's your job in life? To give and get meaning and joy as much as possible. Everything else is just like stuff you've got to do. So, how do you have this energy to give and get meaning and joy? Well, you have to fuel that light, just like you have to fuel your car. So, joy is that fuel. And joy is more powerful than happiness. It goes deeper into your soul and into yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can experience joy on a regular basis, it builds resilience. Research shows that. It
Mm-hmm.
helps you manage stress and pain better. It helps you make better, clearer decisions so that you're not making decisions out of fear or should.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes you feel refreshed. so that you can give and get purpose.
Yeah. Wow.
Joy. I define joy as an activity that you do where you lose track of time, lose track of self, and afterwards you feel energized.
Yeah.
Sounds
Right.
like a flow state maybe to your listeners, but the difference here is that you're not in a flow state to achieve something. It's purely to experience joy. So
Right.
for me, I dance around my house, listen to Beyonce, play basketball with my son, read a good book,
Mm.
take a nice walk.
Yeah.
All of those things kind of get me out of my head, release me from my fears, help me reset, give me energy from the inside out. And then I can go back and tackle the day.
Right.
That's what I teach people is joy.
Yeah, no, and that's actually one thing that comes to mind, and again, maybe is relatable to an extent, is as you mentioned, we tried to put a tangible aspect to purpose, right? So oftentimes we're working and we're probably at this job that we really don't enjoy for whatever reason,
Mm-hmm.
and we tell ourselves a lie. We lie to ourselves and say, well, I'm living my purpose. I'm because I'm working towards becoming whatever, this next promotion, and you're telling yourself that that's part of your purpose. Then you realize, though, you're not happy, you're not bringing that joy into the mix. And so I do believe that when you're doing something out of joy, even working doesn't seem like you're working, right? It's like I enjoy doing this podcast, and I know it takes time, and I know there's a lot of different elements that go with that. Yeah, I still
Mm-hmm.
enjoy getting people like you on the show and sharing this because, again, it brings a sense of accomplishment, and I do believe part of that is also when I decided to leave my 9 to 5 is being able to find, well, what is my ultimate. I call it my highest intention, which is kind of like
Mm,
my life
beautiful.
purpose, right? And so my
Mm-hmm.
highest intention for me is to be able to share, to motivate, to inspire, to empower people in many different ways, right? And so when you bring that aspect, then there's definitely a different element of joy and doing versus doing things that might at the end of the day not serving you and might end up hurting you, right? Because you're neglecting yourself, your body, your family, your friends, and you're not getting that, right?
Yeah. I mean, for that person who's climbing the corporate ladder and they think it's their purpose, what happens when the company closes
Mm-hmm.
or there's a layoff? What happened to your purpose? Has it disappeared now? So
Right.
what I teach people is how to apply your purpose. So an example of that would be a lot of people have what I would say is a more vague sense of purpose. I want to help people.
Mm.
Okay, how do you want to help people? How have you helped people in the past? How are you helping people now? And then I help them think about who they are and how they operate in the world from the perspective of their values, joy, their natural strengths, and then their innate personality framework.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, someone who's climbing the corporate ladder, but they have to work long hours or the culture's a little not, it's toxic, let's just say it, but you are determined to stick with this job for the next year. How do you do that? Well, if you know that the way that you part of your purpose is communicating with people in a way that helps them to feel heard and seen and safe, and you have a special knack for that because of your unique purpose components, then you can go into work every day and focus on how am I going to communicate with people to make them feel safe and heard and energized.
Mm. Right.
That's something that you can share across all realms of your life that will also help you reach your career goals.
Right. Yeah. So, do you work with people on the senior living, or is really anybody in general?
My focus has been senior living because that's where I grew up, so
Yep.
to speak.
Yeah.
And I just love older adults and the people who want to care for them. But the purpose equation applies to people at all stages and all ages. So I also work with college students. I
Okay.
work with a lot of executives, especially those who are wanting to make a change in their career and wanting to have more purpose in life. What happens is they achieve everything they thought they wanted to achieve. And then, like you said, they're not fulfilled and they say, I still have 20 more years left to work. Like, I want to spend this doing something that I really care about. And then I
Yeah.
also help people who are getting ready to retire, that's a massive milestone in life. Who are you going to be when you don't have that title? When your day isn't filled by your 9 to 5? Who are you going to be? What is your life going to look like? What's going to get you out of bed every morning?
Yeah.
The answer is purpose. So I help people thinking about retiring, recently retired, or retired for a while to get reinvigorated and refocused and engaged and belonging in their life and to themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. I think of there's definitely different stages, right? And I think you have to have as you mentioned, find that purpose for you, that internal purpose at different stages, and definitely this is good for the audience where that they're listening to us. One thing that I think I want to tap into is the idea of, you talked about it, retirement, right? And the reason why is because I found that many people, again, they're looking and waiting for that retirement, like I have 5 more years or 10, whatever that time frame.
Yeah.
And you've seen it time after time, where the people that are listening to us, like, you definitely don't want to be in this place where you retire, and because technically you don't really have that purpose in mind. You've seen it where people become miserable, and often than none, a few years after they retire, either they get very sick or people end up passing. And I think part of that is the element of, that work, even though if that was not the ideal job, was kind of keeping you alive. It's like that idea of, I have a purpose to go to work and contribute or do this or do that. When I'm home and I don't know what to do, I'm literally here. And I've seen that a lot. So what is your advice when it comes down to maybe those that might be in that stage, or even looking down, like 20 years from now, I want to retire, except I don't want to be in that place. What is your advice to ensure that you don't fall into that and you do enjoy your retirement and the last years of your life?
Oh, okay. There's so much there. So
You know,
I'll try to make it simple, and then maybe you can ask me more questions to make sure I don't like go
Yep.
all over the place with this one.
Yep.
The first thing is that purpose is not stagnant. So the purpose that lit you up, your strengths when you're 20 are going to expand and grow, especially if it's intentional through your 30s, through your 40s, through your 50s. So it's important to always be checking in and noticing how your purpose is growing and expanding, right? I said at the beginning of this, I think the meaning of life is to give and get meaning in life.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have to do these things like have jobs because we need to pay the bills. And if we love our job, even better. The way to love your job or to like it is to figure out how you can connect your unique purpose to some element of the work that you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's also important to understand before you retire, what is it that I love about my work? Is it that I love being a leader and bringing people together and getting a team across the finish line? Is it that I love the actual work I'm doing? I'm a graphic designer, or I love working with my hands. Is it that I'm very relational and I love being around people and I love, communicating, like of that earlier example? The key is to make sure that on the day you retire, the next day isn't what I call a purpose cliff, where you fall off because you're so relieved to not have that obligation hanging over you of the 9 to 5, but you didn't think about what's next. So instead of a cliff, create an off-ramp of purpose. Line some things up, some volunteer work, if it's travel, line some things up that complement that inner purpose, that working with your hands or being creative or connecting with people or teaching or learning, whatever that is, off ramp yourself with that so that you can see and feel and experience and share your purpose outside the context of a job.
Right.
And from there, what I help people see and what they tell me is that the possibilities for me now that I'm looking at my life in terms of purpose and not a role or a goal have expanded exponentially. I have this purpose inside of me, and there's so many ways to share it. Now it's going to be hard to choose.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. One of the things that I tell people, and you kind of tap into the little bit, I tell people that if you're working for profits, you're doing it wrong. You got to be working for purpose,
Yeah.
and the profits will come. Because as you mentioned, we obviously have to have a job. We have to have that. Except I do believe that you want to do it for the right reasons. And in my case, again, I believe it has to be there has to be some sort of purpose. Because again, you don't
Mhm.
want to be miserable doing whatever you're doing. And I think that once you do that, then the profits will come. Oftentimes, I see people working a job, and I was one of them, a 9 to 5, and yeah, I was making good money, and I loved it. It's that my health was bad. I neglected my family. There was many different things that were taking place that, again, I was doing it for the wrong reasons. And so when I discovered that there's gonna be a better way to do it, and you again bring that joy into doing your job, and some sort of element of purpose, I do believe you can go far further than you can think of. Even on those very not easy days and down days, you can definitely overcome those for sure.
Yeah. And let me throw some stats at you.
Hmm.
So these are from McKinsey and Gallup. Employees who are able to activate their purpose at work. So they have to know their purpose. There's got to be a program to help them develop that, which, okay, shameless pitch, I could do.
Yeah.
But they're 6.5 times more likely to increase their resilience. So think about healthcare workers. Think about people who have been working in the healthcare field in senior living in hospitals for the past 3 years. Oh my goodness, right? They are 71% less likely to experience burnout, six
Mm.
times more likely to stay instead of quitting, and
Wow.
1.5 times more likely to go above and beyond. So we're talking about retention, engagement, development, uh, and employees who show up even if they don't love everything about their job, because that's almost impossible,
Hmm.
they have a way to bring what's inside of them and share it in their place of work. Humans need that. It's humans who work in companies. It's also humans who are entrepreneurs. Like
Hmm.
for you, it's not
Yeah.
exactly the easiest thing
Right. Exactly.
to
Yeah.
go out on your own and not have the structure of a company.
Right.
So how do you keep going? How do you keep going when the days are long and the nights are long and a client didn't work out or something? Like it's purpose,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? It's this bigger meaning that comes from inside that says, okay, I'm going to rise again today.
Yeah.
And I want to. Not only am I going to, but purpose gives you a sense of I get to.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get to go out in the world today and make a difference. And it doesn't matter, like, purpose doesn't care about scale. Purpose doesn't care how many people I impact. It just wants to be there. It wants to be felt. It wants to be shared.
Yeah. No, I love that. I definitely love that. Um, if people wanted to find out more about you, connect with you, where can they find you?
They can find me at my website, which is thepurposeequation.com. And they can also email me directly, discover@thepurposeequation.com. And they're also welcome to follow me on LinkedIn. I share a lot about my own purpose experiences and discoveries and the research. I'm very research based, right? I didn't make this up. It's
Yeah.
evidence informed. That's why it's reliable and repeatable, and also based on 20 years of experience learning from older adults.
Yeah.
But I love to just have conversations
Right.
about purpose. And if it leads to something great, if it doesn't, great. I had an amazing conversation about purpose like we had today. So
Yeah.
thank
Right.
you so
Yeah.
much.
No, that's awesome, and definitely. I mean, I think that's one of the things is like just being able to have those conversations and being able to learn from each other and be able to see and find all the things that maybe you're missing that can help you in your journey, right? Your life journey, which is
Yeah.
amazing.
And you know what? I know I'm missing things. Like part
Yeah.
of my purpose is I'm obsessed with learning. I want to learn something every day and it lights me up. So every person that I talk to is a learning opportunity, and that's how I approach it. So
Yeah.
that's sharing my purpose out in life, and it makes my life so exciting.
Yeah. No, that's
Through the
awesome.
hardness and through the suffering. I don't want to say that it's candy coating because it's not. You need purpose because life is hard.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. Otherwise, you're going to be going down a different rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Um, do you have any habits, daily habits, anything you do daily to kind of keep you up and going and putting you in this positive state of mind?
Yeah, I have my purpose equation and I look at
Okay.
it every morning.
Okay.
It's an equation of words that reminds me what my strengths are, what my values are, and how I can give and get meaning every day. It's very specific, 3 sentences. And
Yeah.
then my purpose stack is my values and my personality and my strengths. And I look at it every morning and I think, how can I apply this to this meeting that I have coming up?
Mm,
Here's something that I'm fearful of, something that I need to overcome today. How can I apply my purpose to that?
gotcha.
Purpose helps me every single day move through fears, move through doubts, because I have a lot of them, but I keep moving through them.
Yeah.
And it helps me also to be grateful.
Mm,
And gratitude is super powerful. So, this combination of purpose and gratitude and trying to maintain an attitude of I get to
yeah.
really helps me. It's a
Yeah.
morning. And then in the evenings, I reflect back and I say, what did I learn? What could I have done differently?
Yeah.
How did my purpose help me through the day? And then did I make a difference for someone today? And you know what? If I had an interaction where I expressed gratitude or I was able to learn something from someone and share for them how much they taught me, then I know my purpose made an impact that day.
Yeah. Nice. Do you journal, or do you just kind of sit in a quiet place where nobody bothers you and kind of do that in the morning and at night?
It's more contemplative, I would
Okay.
say. So this is a should for me. I should journal,
Yeah.
but I don't because I don't want to yet. What I do is use the notes app in my iPhone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so when I have random thoughts, which is a lot,
Yeah.
I do like keep a running journal in my iPhone notes. But
Yeah.
it's more really like a contemplative gratitude um,
Gotcha.
experience that I do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the biggest message I would say, and for those that are listening, is that you got to create some sort of, again, Tony Robbins refers to them as rituals.
Yeah.
Except you got to create something, right? You got to have something. Whether I walk every day. I go out for a walk, listen to podcast, motivational stuff. I do affirmations. Whatever works for you. Like, you got to create some sort of discipline, something that is going
Yes.
to ground you
Yes.
in a different element. Like, get all the distractions and all the external distractions and focus
Yes.
on your internal aspect by doing something daily. And that's the biggest thing, is doing something daily, whatever that might be that works for
Absolutely.
you, right?
It's so true. That ritual, it's dependable. It's something that can be a consistent practice in life. And that's part of why I made the equation too, because for people to say, okay, I'm going to be purposeful today, I still don't know what that means.
Right.
But if I say, this is my unique roadmap for being purposeful, and I can look at that in the morning, that really helps to give
Yeah.
structure to this thing that's such a life force within all of us.
No, that's awesome. My last question for you. You've already given us a lot of golden nuggets, a lot of great information. I really appreciate that. For the people that are listening and or watching us, if they're going through any challenge, whatever challenge that might be, what is one or a few things they can do to start overcoming that challenge?
Start with joy. Figure out how you can spend 10 minutes on this really hard day, losing track of time and self. Is it dancing? Is it listening to music? Is it taking a walk in nature? Get some energy replenishment back into your body, mind, and spirit.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is to remember that purpose really is a matter of life. Human beings, yeah, we need a nervous system and cardiovascular system, but we also need purpose just as much. And every single human has purpose. Like I said at the beginning, that purpose light, you can lean into that power and that love that's innately part of you when you're having a hard time. And just remember, you are here for a reason. You do have a why. You were born enough, and that you're going to get through this, and lean into the parts of you that are naturally there to help you give and get meaning. And one step at a time, you will rise and you will continue to rise.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of going back to the idea of, there's out of so many different cells and all that stuff, thousands or millions of whatever, you're the one that made it, right? And so there's a reason for that, and we got to be able to find that reason. What is that purpose? What is the meaning that you're here for? What is your the element that you're going to be contributing to the world, because it is bigger than you. I do believe that it's not just about you, it's about a bigger aspect of that. So there's a reason for that, and we got to be able to seek and find that.
And please, for your listeners, you can contact me. I can help you with the specifics of it, but just start by asking yourself, how do I like to help people? And then you ask yourself again, well, how do I do that? And then how do I do that? And then how do I do that? And get down to the specifics of, oh, I help people by specific. And then try activating that and bringing that into your awareness every day. And you'll feel it. You'll feel the difference of your purpose being in your awareness.
I love that. I love that. Well, Anna, thank you again for being on the show. I really appreciate everything you share with us. Anything else you would like to say before I let you go?
I'd like to invite organizations to reach out to me too. I have a very simple purpose program called the Purpose Collab, where I can help your employees develop their purpose and really tie it into your corporate mission or the mission of your senior living community. And it really helps take care of your people, and they'll take care of everything else. So I'd love to find some great organizations that can not only collaborate with me in purpose, but with each other. It's this abundance mindset that I really want to put out there into the world.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you again for being here. Really appreciate you being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed talking with you.
Yeah, definitely. And for the rest of you guys, do me a favor, please go ahead and connect with Anna, and do me a favor, share this message, because definitely somebody needs to hear this. And I will see you guys at the next episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cesar Espino, real estate investor, business coach, and consultant, and author of the book, You Can Overcome Anything, Even When the World Says No. My number is 424-501-6046. In my book, I talk about making the necessary changes to shift your mind for prosperity and certainty. Pick up your copy at Amazon. I also love helping families with their real estate and can purchase your house fast and all cash. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. My number is 424-501-6046.
Thank you for having me today. I am so glad you've tuned into this podcast. You can find me at your favorite podcast platform, where you can like, subscribe, comment, and share. And to learn more about myself, my services, you can find me at www.cesarrespino.com, or you can also find me at your social media. Thanks for joining me, and I am looking forward to having you at the next episode. And know you truly can overcome anything.